That did not happen to you, Becky. No, it didn't.
It did.
Got up out of her seat and was just like, what kind of a betrayal is that?
Just started doing my monologue. Like, help me.
Yeah,
Why are you doing this? Is this part of the test?
Yeah,
I am just not good enough. Hey everyone, this is Leah O'Rourke.
And this is Beccy Henderson.
And we're here today to talk about awkward auditions. Appropriately awkward.
Yeah.
We're here today to talk about awkward auditions. I put a prompt on my Instagram and on my YouTube community if you had any particular questions that you wanted the answers to. So we're going to go through those first and then maybe add our own little stories in at the end if we still have stuff we want to share. Awkward experiences we want to share. I don't know why.
It's healing.
It's healing.
It's cathartic.
Yeah. Have you ever been asked to do an accent for an audition and a different accent came out?
No, I haven't had this experience, but I've had awkward accent experience.
Okay.
I had to prepare a piece of text for a theatre audition, and the role required multi-rolling, so playing multiple characters. And whenever I went into the audition and started into my speech, it was in a theatre space, so I was on the stage, and like the panel were like in the audience, so it was scary, awkward.
Yeah.
And when I began the speech, the director shouted, "Okay, now American accent." And then I tried my best to go into that on the spot, and then he was like, "Okay, now English accent. Okay, now Irish accent." And I was like, feeling my face going bright red. And like, accents are one of those things that I need like a few minutes to get my tongue around it and to get into it.
Yeah.
So I think also the unexpectedness of it being like sort of thrown at you.
So you were saying your monologue, and he was like, American,
mid-flow, like.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I feel like I went away from that and didn't really do myself justice, because I'm like, if there was other characters with different accents, I can do it with time and prep, you know?
Yeah, I don't know the value in them testing you in that way.
Yeah.
But just because that's just not how it's going to be if you were in the show.
Yeah.
The show isn't like an improv show where they're like, now be American, now change this. The show, you will have rehearsed the lines, specific parts as to what accents. It's an interesting test.
It is.
I don't know if it lends itself to...
No. But a couple of like other actors that I spoke to said to me, you know, that audition process is 50-50. And they were like, you are within your right to say, can I take 5 minutes to get myself into this accent?
Yeah.
And you know, because you feel sometimes a bit powerless in that
I'm really bad at doing that. When I just need a minute to process a note, I do not take it.
And usually they don't mind that. That's something I took from it. I was like, oh, you know something? I've actually learned from that experience.
Yeah.
Like say, I can't do these accents, give me a minute. Do you know
that's good. That's a good takeaway from it. Yeah.
What about you, Becky? And your awkward accent acting experience?
So one time this is more about my representation at the time. These people are no longer representing me. But I was in an audition and I did my read of the scene, and then the director was like, "Your English accent," and I was like, I wasn't doing an English accent. I was like, oh no, that was just me. And they were like, didn't you, like, why aren't you doing one? And I was like, really confused. And they were like, did you not read the character brief? And I was like, I was not sent a character brief. So my representation hadn't sent that through to me, despite me being like, don't we think it's weird they haven't sent anything through other than the sides? And I asked for it like multiple times. They're like, nope, that's it. That's all they sent. Safe to say, I did not get that audition. I left the room knowing. That.
I could tell like how annoying that would be for you, because you are so in the zone when it comes to prepping for
auditions. I am. I'm obsessed with prep. It's how I feel calm. Like I just need prep time. I feel like I can do anything with prep time. And it was really
frustrating. It wasn't your fault. Like.
Yeah, I was just like, I'm the person in the room that's like wasting everyone's time.
Oh no.
Because I'm not prepared. So that was very annoying. It wasn't like this massive part that I missed out on, but it's still not what you want to happen. Hey. Tell us about the rudest casting director.
Yeah, we both said that we haven't experienced that, which is great.
Historically just have lovely experiences with casting directors. Like they are so on your side and like want you to get it. Like want you to do your best and like try to bring that out of you. Well, when you're in the room with them. I do have a time, it's a bit embarrassing. I have a time where I was in an audition. Again, actually, accent-wise, it was an Australian accent that they were like, oh yeah, by the way, she's Australian. But I didn't know that in advance. Anyway, it was an Australian accent. And then it like went fine. They like chatted to me a bit about myself. I did the thing. I did like a couple of takes of it. And then as I was walking out, they were sat with stuff in front of them. It was like back in the day when your like hard copy headshot would be on the table in front of people with your CV. And I clocked that one of the people on the panel had drawn glasses on my headshot.
No way. What? That did not happen to you, Becky. No, it didn't.
It did. It was so like...
It's just horrendous. That's so rude. Like... And what, was it sitting on the table when you seen it?
Yeah, it was just like sitting in front of them and it was just like my face with like black Sharpie like glasses drawn on it.
A person shouldn't be on a panel. Like, what did they think they were coming to see? Like,
I don't know what role they wear in the casting process. I did not get that part. I think you can only kind of laugh at that stuff. I rang my agent like after to be like, you will not believe what just happened to me. And then we had like a good laugh about it. And then
it makes it a great story. Like it's wild because when people like message you asking about your auditions from hell, like they don't expect like I can't believe that actually happened. Do you know what I mean?
I know. That's pretty bad.
It is pretty. It's really bad. That's terrible. I don't know what I would have done. That's just awful. There's nothing you could do. Do you know?
Well, yeah. I just walked on, clocked it, and like.
I know. I feel like I would like relive it in my head and be like, relive my walkout, being like, nice drawing or something. Like I don't know. Like it was just
like the pretty woman, like and where you get to get your own back.
Love it.
There's a lot of things I would have liked to
have done there.
Say to them. In contrast to that, do you ever walk out of an audition and feel like, yeah, I got it, but never got the call back?
Yeah, I feel like it happens all the time.
All the time. Like, all the time.
Yeah.
I think it's nice to be that cocky.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
I have that all the time where I'm like, that's definitely, I got that part. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
I never hear from them again.
I know. So when we do tapes, you're like, yeah, that feels good.
Yeah. Or I'm like, Leah, you've got it.
Yeah.
You got this part. And then
weeks go by, tumbleweed rolling past. I was like,
okay. We did not get the part.
We didn't.
I had it once as well where I was auditioning for this job and via the audition process realized I did not want this job. I didn't want to do this job. But I did well in the audition. I was like more than qualified to do what you needed to, but I just didn't want it. And I was like, I really hope they don't contact me. And I felt like I went to bed that night anxious, carrying what if they offer it to me and I'm gonna have to say no? How am I gonna say no? And then I got an email the next day telling me that I didn't get it, and I was like, how dare they? I really don't want this job, and then wait, I didn't get it. What do you mean?
No, I've had that too. Where my agent said, oh, I don't know about this, it's a bit low budget. I'm like, oh, I'm not doing anything currently. Yeah, let's go for it and all.
Yeah.
And you think you have a good chance, and then you don't hear, and you're like, oh, that's a bit awkward.
It makes you feel so much worse.
Yeah, it really does.
than other jobs. Because, if there's something, and your agent will be like, oh, we kind of see you as, above this level of role where it's maybe just one line, or, they don't have, the character doesn't have a name. I think when it's less than what you want, and you still don't get it, it feels like, oh, it hurts different. Yeah. I feel more rejected when I don't get the tiny auditions.
I know, that is it is tough.
When I don't get the leading roles, I'm like, okay, I get it. When I don't get the tiny role that had one line, I'm like, I am just not good enough. What big role did you audition for and not get?
I feel like I've had quite a good high profile jobs I've been put up for and not got. like
Yeah.
have been up for like BBC dramas and like cinema, big things that came out in cinema and stuff, and not got. But it is one of those things. And then you were saying like how it's like really important to like let that go and just move forward, and like that part wasn't meant for you and something else is. I think that's a lovely mindset, because do you remember recently you were up for a part and you said to me you should go for it, and I felt a bit like, oh no, that's your thing, you go for it, and you were like, no, but if it's your part, it's not my part, and I just thought that was so generous and so.
Aw, thank you. But no, yeah, I don't feel any ownership over any part. If someone else gets the part, then it was always their part to have, and not mine. Oh, I'm being seen for this. Oh, you should see if you could get seen for it too. I don't feel like threatened by that, because I don't have ownership over it. Yeah. If you get it, then that was always meant for you, even if they didn't ask to see you initially and I just flagged it, and so then you auditioned for it. You know? I think it's also a healthy mindset just to like leave every audition and like, I guess leave it there.
Yeah. I think that's so
don't
lovely,
be like hung up on any part in particular. Obviously, there are going to be maybe parts every now and then that you just identified with like so much. Maybe they like shared a bit of your backstory, or there was just something that you felt so much like, but that is me. So sometimes there'll be those parts that you leave feeling like, oh, that's really would have loved to get that.
Yeah, I'd be the same. I think I mostly like I'm very accepting. But the odd time I'd get a wee thing of like, I wonder what way my life would be if I got that part, that leading part I went for. And you have a little like sliding doors moment of like, oh, what would it? Yeah.
Or if you see like, well, that person got that part that I auditioned for, another doing this, another doing this, as if that somehow would have been your trajectory, but it wouldn't have been. They're them. Just because you worked for that part and maybe got it, it doesn't give you their like lifeline.
Yes, that's such a good way of like looking at it.
Yeah, so it doesn't.
What a great way to look at it.
Wow. What a great way to look at it. And also, I generally then see the person that's cast, and they're like so not like me.
Yeah.
Generally, it's like, oh, I was not getting that part. I am just not like that. Or that, they're just something like so different about them. That was like, oh, okay, that's cool. That's what you were going for. It's quite reassuring.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, it's not someone who's just like a slightly different version of me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they always say, we've gone a different direction.
Yeah.
It's like, becomes a really annoying line to get, but it is just like the most authentic and honest
approach.
They went a different direction. And that's it. And I think it's nice to like remember that you are like your unique selling point. The best selling point of you is like no one else can be you. Everyone will read the same scene, but no one will actually read it exactly like you did.
Yes.
Because no one can be you.
Yeah. That's so true.
Take that.
Yeah.
How do you prepare for an audition, and what techniques do you use for learning lines? It's kind of two different questions.
Yeah. Well, when I'm learning lines, I always record the other characters' lines and then pause the recording and say my character's lines and then press play again, so it feels like I'm talking to a real person.
That's clever. I've never done that.
And then get into the character, do like a lot of like reading of the description, get as much information as I can like from the script and stuff. And I always feel like if I'm like really feeling the emotion and I know like it's truthful and it's going to be good, like if the character's sad and I really feel like that choked up feeling, or like really feel their excitement and stuff, like I know I'm on to something. What about you, Beck?
Yeah, well, sometimes I think that when you actually just read this scene and feel it, sometimes I think that's just great script writing. Like, I don't have to do anything. I just have to read these words and like all this emotion happens. In terms of getting into character, I like to make like little collages depending on what information you've been given about them. Like maybe they like video games, so I'll put like a little controller, their kind of colors, or like mood board, a little mood board of what the character is, so that I can sit in it. I feel like I can sit in a character once I know that I could improvise as them. For learning lines, I have an old technique that my mum taught me that I've used since like exams in school, where she's like, if there's information that you want for the next day, to sleep with it under your pillow. Which is
That's so sweet.
very
I've heard
pure.
this before.
Yeah. So I'll like print out the sides. I learn sides better that way anyway, if they're like on
I'm
paper.
the same. I much prefer printed.
I print the sides out and I sleep with them under my pillow.
Oh, that's
Although
class.
that's also if I have the luxury of time to do that. 'Cause
Yeah.
increasingly, so I'm like getting tapes in and filming them on the same day.
Yeah.
Because that's just maybe like, oh, I'm free today and I'm not free tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or the next day or the next. So I was like,
So
I just have to do this now to get it done.
Oh, that's so sweet. Especially because it came from like your mum. Like,
Yeah,
so
it's
nice.
cute. It's cute. Next. Have you ever misheard something during an audition that led to an unfitting response on your part?
No, I can't think of a time that that's happened. But I mishear people in conversations. You know that whole like, oh yeah, when someone's talking to you, like, I don't want to ask you what you've said for the third
I'm
time.
gonna smile and
smile
hope
and
that's
nod. Yeah,
the appropriate
yeah.
response.
But sometimes when I'm nervous in auditions, I go into this zone where I'm not fully intaken. You know, if it's like conversational, like, oh, how was your journey in? And I'm like so nervous I can't hardly think. I'm like,
You're just thinking like, let's just get to the scene because that's all that's in here
yes,
right now.
yes, exactly.
I haven't misheard what someone was saying, but I have just like not heard them.
Oh no.
Where it was an audition for a theatre piece and I had a prepared monologue that they gave me that I took in, and the casting director, she had that energy about her, and like I'm so artistic and you can tell from my vibes. But she did my monologue.
Yeah.
And I had heard everything she said up until this point. I did my monologue, and then she was like, okay, so I want you to go to the back of the room and go to the wall and I was like, sorry, what? And then she's like, go to the wall and I was like, I'm so sorry. I was, what? Say again? And then she's like, I want you to just go back to the wall. And I was just like, am I going insane? All I'm getting is wall. I asked her 4 times. I asked her to repeat herself 4 times. And I was like, at what point? Like, help me. Why are you doing? Is this part of the test? So I knew I had to like go and do my monologue again with wall.
Yeah.
That's the only piece of information I had.
And you're going
and this is what I did. This is what I did. And I was like, right. Well, the wall has to be involved. And I just started doing my monologue and like interacting with the wall. Like, to be or not to be.
The question everyone wants to know, Becky, did you get the part?
I did not.
I
I did not get the part.
I would have cast you like that was unreal.
Can you believe I did not get this part?
And you took the note and did the couch.
I took the note. The note was wall, and I took it. Hire me.
Yeah, love it.
Safe to say, I did not get that audition, but I feel like that's not. I feel like that's not fully on me.
No. You did what you could.
Do it again, but wall. Don't ever be shy about your auditions because they can't be worse than mine. Yeah. Did you ever have an audition where they didn't have anything for you to do?
No, I haven't.
I have. Well, kind of. I had an audition. It was for a feature film, and there was like supposed to be this group of like teen raiders in it. There was like post-apocalyptic, and they were like these kind of feral children. So I just went in, and the audition room they had just filled it with like rubbish, like trash, and just like bits.
They really went all out.
Like bits. And then the audition, they were just like, go and just like interact with the bits as if you're this like feral scavenger child.
Yeah.
I
kind of like the freedom of that.
It was really fun.
Yeah.
I actually like really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they ended up only casting boys.
So
that part didn't belong to me.
Sometimes it can be daunting if you're going knowing you've nothing to prepare. Like, you don't need to prepare anything. Come in. You're like, what are you going to present me with?
Yeah, the fear of the unknown is like the scariest thing
it is.
that they can do to someone.
The unknown mixed with a panel staring at you. Like, that sounds fun. That was a good unknown.
That was fun. Yeah, that was a good unknown.
It's up your street as well.
I know. Love to do post-apocalyptic stuff.
Just saying, casting director.
Just saying.
Scavenger.
Yeah, Born to be in the apocalypse.
Yeah.
What was your first audition? Do you remember?
Yeah, my first audition was when I was 10, and I know my aunt and uncle are both actors, and my aunt was cast in, I think it was like a drama for television, and they needed somebody to play either the younger version of her or one of her children. I don't know which it was.
Okay.
So she got me seen for that, and I like still have a photo of like, it was like a wee screenshot, it must have been from like the camera or whatever.
Oh,
yeah, and I've like real short hair and all, and it's such a sweet memory, but I don't remember much about the audition itself.
Yeah.
I remember going with my mum and dad and my brother, and like I remember traveling to the audition. And I remember,
ensemble.
yeah, I remember the
You're
ensemble.
gonna go with an entourage.
Yeah, exactly. Lovely experience. That was like my first like professional audition.
It's nice to have such a positive first, like,
Yeah.
warm start.
I must actually look for that photo again. I'd actually love to see it.
Yeah.
And like, yeah. Because I think I'm in my wee like primary school uniform and all, and it like just
Oh.
like out of school going to this audition.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, cute.
What about you?
My first audition, I had to get out of school to do it as well.
Yeah?
Actually, now that you say that, it was like a horror film called Dorothy Mills.
Okay.
And I was auditioning for Dorothy Mills.
Okay.
The character in the film, she gets like possessed by like different adults. That meant like one of the like men that possessed her was like swore all the time.
Yeah.
And there was like one of the women was like kind of sexy.
Yeah.
So I remember them like ringing my mum and like checking if it was okay that I like said swear words.
Yeah.
My mum was kind of like, I don't know, but I also don't
Yeah.
want to like stand in the way
Yeah.
of things. So I think she was like, let's see where it
Yeah.
goes and then assess. So I went up to audition for it, and I remember sitting in the waiting room for a very long time, and then going in, and I'd like never done anything
Yeah.
for screen before, and I just, because I didn't know better, I just like did what the script was saying. So the script was like, she crawls into the corner and curls up into a ball, and I like crawled into the corner. So then the cameraman was like, oh, and had to like move the camera. Okay. So I didn't know, like normally in auditions you like play it within the camera frame and adjust the part and stay there. But I was just like, oh, well, I'll crawl over here. I got a recall for that and had to go back in. And I remember when I went in for the recall, the casting director had like, there was like a sweetie machine, like a vending machine in their room, and she had like just turned it and all these sweets were falling out. Like it broke or something. I don't know. It's just like as a kid, these memories that you have. And there was like all the sweets coming out and her being like, oh, I'm so sorry. Do you want a sweet? And it was like these sweets everywhere. I didn't get it in the end, but it was like a good, positive.
That's a solid experience.
Yeah, I think. And I had to get my first headshot for that audition because you needed a headshot. And that was like my first one. We both have positive first audition stories.
Yeah, that's good. A lot of my awkward auditions came from like auditioning to try and get into drama school.
Okay.
Great. But I want to start by saying like you don't need to go to drama school to be an actor. That's like not me promoting drama school. There's many different ways.
I did not go to drama school.
Becky did, and we know other amazing actors that didn't go as well. But I auditioned for like, it was a really top like London drama school, and I really wanted to go there because I looked up all the people that have, like the alumni that have been there, and I was like, wow, yes. So went to my first round and got a recall.
Great.
And was absolutely delighted. Like, come on, let's do this. And the first part of the recall was like a workshop, and the person sort of directing the workshop said that there was in the middle of the hall a toy shop window, and we had to like approach the wall and select a toy for a friend. And I was like, okay, this seems okay, and like I love the imagination of it all, and like it's quite wholesome. Select something for your friend. And then he said, but the one note I will give you is you aren't allowed to act. And I was like, oh.
Isn't that literally why I'm here?
Yeah. I was literally like, what does that even mean? What do you mean? And in those moments, I'm sure, Becky, you don't get time to think. It's like, and off you go.
No, you don't get time to process.
You don't get time to process. So I'm like, are they judging like how well I take direction and they've told me not to act, so am I literally not going to act? Or is it a way of saying, you need to be more truthful, or, you know, not acty, but like feel the emotion of picking the toy? I don't know. Yeah. So I ended up just approaching the window with a completely fake expression.
Doing nothing.
Doing nothing, because I was just so focused on, like, not acting, but then thinking back,
That's so
walking
good.
toward the window is kind of acting, isn't it? Like,
They asked you to not act and then do nothing.
so that was the first challenging part, and then the second part, had to redo our speech again for a different panel, and the woman after my speech, the woman on the panel got up out of her seat and was just like, what kind of a betrayal is that? Why are you portraying the character as evil? And I was like, oh no, this isn't how I envisioned everything going in my, like, rainbow sunshine get into drama school. I was like, you're amazing, Leah. Wow. And I was
Why were you making the character evil?
in my head, I wasn't portraying that. Obviously, that is what came across, but I don't know. It wasn't what I was going for. And then, like, so she asked me to, like, she gave me some new notes and asked me to redo it, but I don't think I took the notes very well. It just was, like, I think it was just my whole shock of her getting out of her seat so passionately, disagreeing with the character. I was like, oh,
So intense.
yeah, it was very intense. So my dream of going there didn't work out. But what I have learned from it is, like, looking back, I think I really beat myself up, being like, oh my God, I'm terrible, I can't act. And this woman, when I searched her up afterwards, she'd written loads of books about performance. Shakespeare, so she was quite high up in her field, and I felt really negative about it, like, oh no. But, like, she didn't say I was terrible, she just didn't like my interpretation.
Yeah.
And then I was kind of like, my interpretation invoked a response, so in ways that is good.
Yeah.
And then it obviously never stopped me on my path to working with you in Derry Girls.
Clearly
and
not.
Doing all that. So, yeah, I just want to sort of say, like, if you're out there as an actor and you're having, like, an awkward audition, like, don't let it, like, stop you or, like, ruin it. And, like,
It's so subjective.
Yeah, it
it's
is.
art, so it's just, like, totally...
Yeah.
You will be someone's cup of tea, and then you will absolutely not be someone else's cup of tea. So there will be casting directors who just think you're the bee's knees.
Yeah.
And there'll be ones who think you're being evil when you weren't.
Yeah.
You can also get really positive feedback and still not get
Yeah.
the part as well, or into the drama school.
Yeah.
Or I had it before where a casting director, after I did the interpretation of the script, they were like, your eyes are amazing. They're like, your control over your eyes. The only other actor I've ever known who could do that was Cillian Murphy. And I, like, left, like,
Yeah.
oh my goodness, this is
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
I have Cillian
Yeah.
Murphy's eyes. That was about 8 years ago, and
Yeah.
I have never been cast in anything
Yeah.
by that casting. But
But,
like,
what a compliment to take from it.
yeah, like that was so nice, but definitely made me think. It gave me grand ideas.
Yeah. Or you can have the opposite where they're just, like, stone-faced, like, okay, thank you. And then you get a call back, like, oh, I didn't feel any...
And then you get it, yeah.
It's strange, like...
I'm gonna fix your hair
Oh, thank you so much.
on your eyelash. Our first round of Derry Girls, both of us weren't happy with our auditions,
Yeah.
and we got callbacks.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, like I thought I'd really overacted mine,
Yeah.
and I was like kicking myself when I left.
I was kicking myself too. I forgot my lines, so
That's right.
the worst thing can happen and something good
And
can
then
happen.
you do get, so I think, again, casting directors want to help you out.
Yeah.
I had it before as well where a casting director, like, really tried to get me to do it right. I just didn't. It was like the tone, there was like one line in it that was like the tone. I did one take and they were like, oh, like that line is said like this because this character knows X, Y, Z. And I was like, yeah, oh, okay. Did it again. And the casting director was like, well, just one more.
Yeah.
But she knows this. I was like, okay, yeah. Did it again. I can tell from their face I'm not getting it, but I don't know how I'm not getting it. And then it was like 6 hours later that I'd actually processed the note. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that's what they meant.
Oh.
And they tried to help me.
Yes.
And I was like swatting the help away.
Yeah.
They did their best.
I had something similar happen to me. I auditioned for Casualty and I had 3 scenes and 2 of them in the room they were nodding me like yeah. And the third scene they were like and then they're like, hey, can you do it like this here? And I was like, okay. And I redid it and I could tell, you can almost tell in their face, like even if they're smiling, like behind the eyes or something, it's like, oh, thank you. It's like, oh, I didn't do it. And then like I left that kind of knowing I didn't get the part. I was like, I don't think I did their note the way they wanted it. And like, that's hard. Like when you're in the shower afterwards, like being like,
Oh, I get it now.
yeah, I get it. Can we rewind
Take me
time?
back. It's hard when you're just like your adrenaline's
Really
going.
high,
Be kind to yourself
Yes, definitely.
with taking those notes.
Yeah.
Also had it once where when you're in the room, there's normally like chat around what's happening. It's that nice like human experience. We don't get it as much now because it's all tapes. So you don't really get that personal experience. But they were like, and what have you been up to? And I was like, oh, not a lot. I've like been knitting quite a bit. Talked about my hobbies.
I think that's lovely.
Oh, but I definitely think she meant, what have you been working on?
Yeah, I know, but that's refreshing. Everyone's probably pure like plugging their stuff and like you're like so authentic, just like, yeah, I've been knitting, I've been playing my Nintendo. Well, that's some good advice for your viewers back and like come armed with what you've been working on and what if you're writing anything or if you're
see, that's a good thing. Like if you haven't been working, don't forget that like your personal projects I wouldn't go ahead and talk about your knitting project, but like if you're like working on a short film script or you don't necessarily have to be like, oh yeah, I've just been working on this like 6-part series. You could be like, oh well, I've been writing my own whatever. It's good to go in equipped a little bit with that stuff. I have learned.
It's so wholesome. I know it so much.
It is wholesome. I didn't get the parts. They didn't appreciate how wholesome I am.
Yeah.
Have you got any more drama school drama for us?
There was another audition I did that had like a physical acting workshop where we were told we had to pretend we were elephants getting on a bus. And I was like, again, you have 2 seconds to think about that. And all I could think of was like, doing an elephant like this, like pure like primary school elephant. Yeah. And I was like, no, I need to go deeper than that. This is drama school. I need to become...
Don't do the expected.
Yeah, don't. So I was like, right, I'm going to do some real like stomping and stomp as if I'm going up the steps of the bus and all. And in my head, I'd done like an unreal job, but...
I love your confidence.
No. I knew. This was like like one of the schools that offered feedback, which you don't get. And
you don't get. Nice to get feedback.
Yeah.
You put so much into it.
Yeah.
You put so much of your like soul into things sometimes.
Yeah.
And generally you hear absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So,
but that feedback was not great.
No. Okay, I changed my
mind. We don't want your feedback unless it's good feedback.
Definitely thought you were setting up for.
Yeah.
No, feedback bad.
I can't remember the wording of it, but it was just basically like your physicality was awful, it was unbelievable, like all of that, and I was like, oh, but I feel like I'm like that too, at like when I was on Dance with the Stars, like in my head, thinking, yeah, I'm nailing it, look at me, cha cha cha, and then I watch it back on the VT thing, and I'm like, I was not nailing that. Why am I like living in my Delulu like bubble?
Delulu bubble is such a nicer place.
It is. It really is.
But also, like, unless your part is you playing an elephant getting onto a bus, sometimes you get asked to do some really random things.
You do.
That aren't relevant.
Yeah.
Like, I had for a puppetry audition before, because I also do puppeteering, and it, like, sometimes they'll be like, run around the room like a gorilla.
Yeah.
You're like, unless my hands are touching a puppet.
Yeah.
You cannot judge my puppetry work.
Yeah.
Like me running around the room like an elephant getting onto a bus. Like is not relevant to how I will puppeteer the elephant. Stuff like that. I'm like, guys, I don't want to do this. But then also you're in such a vulnerable position where you kind of just have to be like, if you want it to an extent, you have to be like, okay, the elephant, get on the bus. Like, let's try. Let's do this monologue with Wall. Like, you're in that position. I do feel like more so now. I mean, it's a bit of a privileged position. I will say, where I feel okay about saying no to stuff. I don't audition for everything that I get asked to audition for. I am much more selective. Now than I would have been, where I've been like, I'll just do anything. I just want the experience, or I need the money, or because a lot of times this is not about crafting some really like fantastic career. Like for some people, it is like pay. Like this is my income. So like it's not about the artistry or whatever. Like that's a really privileged position to be in. You're like financially supported enough that it can be about the artistry and not be about like having to get the commercial. I support myself financially via other means. So like the puppetry work is where I get most of my financial support. And then I have like an Etsy shop, and I have like lots of different avenues that support me financially. So then for the acting stuff, I am then in the position where I can be like, no, I don't want to do that. But yeah, I just think it's worth knowing the only reason I can do that is because I support myself by other means. It's like, that's a privileged position to be in. I don't like it when people like throw shade on actors for doing certain jobs or X, Y, Z, as if there's like some sort of like bar to uphold.
Or hierarchy,
it's like
it's you're an actor acting. And if it's an acting job, it's
work.
acting. Yeah.
It's a job.
That's what you're trained to do.
Yeah. I once had an audition for a little advert. I was called in for a little advert. And I was like sat in the waiting room, and I hadn't been given any sides beforehand. But I was given these sides in the waiting room. And in the scene was like someone was murdered and dragged down an alley.
What are they selling? Body bags?
It's a really weird pitch. Then like the casting assistant came out and was just like, oh, there's been a mix up. Like, it's not for a little advert. It was for like a drama documentary, like a true crime where they like reenact some bits of the murder and like do talking heads walking into the room to be like, this is just not the energy that I had brought with me. Yeah. They were also then like, oh, and by the way, she's Scottish. I was very honest. I was like, listen, I didn't know that. I just turned up. I thought I was here for a little advert. I hadn't done loads, and I hadn't ever done a Scottish accent for a job before. So I was like, I don't know if I can do a Scottish accent. I haven't ever had to, and it's not something that I just like had practiced. It was in my back catalogue. So I was like, I don't know what's going to come out, but we're going to go for it. Which also I think is fun too, like just show willing. And I had a close friend who was Scottish, so it's like, I'm just going to talk how she talks. And it actually happened. It actually worked.
Oh,
like
real?
Scottish came out, and they were like, whoa, that was really good, but I didn't get the part in the end because I was too small. The director was like, oh, I'm so interested, and like, where did you train? And I was like, well, I didn't. And then he was like, oh, I think you'd be so great. And he was like, what size are you? Like dress size? And I was a size 10. And then he was like, oh, it was like she needed to be plus sized. And I was like, why am I here? My last story was a short film that I went to audition for. And I'm really supportive of short films. I think it's a great environment for learning stuff. But I went to audition for this short film. It was like a student film, and the director was doing the auditions. And he met me, it was at the Queen's Student Union at the front, and like walked me all the way down this corridor. Was like, went to the lift like all the way up to the top floor, and then walked out and like all the way down to the back. And I was like, this is getting like, am I gonna get murdered? If that happened now, I'd be like, I need another person to be present. Like, we were just getting further and further away from civilization. And I read the scene. And he was like, oh, and the character has black bob, or like a brunette. I don't know, it was like a bob, and he's like, would you be willing to cut your hair? And I was like, no, absolutely not. For this like low to no paid student film, like, I'm not gonna cut my hair. And he walked me back down to the door. And then before I left again, he was like, and you're sure you wouldn't be willing to cut your hair? And I was like, no. And he was like, okay. I then heard from them maybe like 3 days later, got an email, and it was like, would love to offer you the part. Just letting you know there's been changes to the script if you want to read them, and I will be playing the male lead. Read the script rewrites. The short had completely changed, and it was now about her and this guy that he would play, and they were lovers. He just like rewrote it and cast himself as my lover.
What a compliment.
I did too well in that audition. That was my best audition I've ever done.
That's unreal. I love that.
I did not take that job. I was like, absolutely not.
No.
How about we finish positively?
Yes.
And what was your favourite audition you've ever done?
I think the recalls for Derry Girls because it was like a very supportive environment. Like I felt comfortable.
Yep.
And because the script was so funny, it was so much fun to take redirection and do it again.
Yeah. When you actively want to be doing scenes again and again, that's such a good sign. And that Lisa McGee was in, all the producers were in, and everyone just was like having a really fun time.
It was so
and
lovely.
like the casting director and casting assistant were like, you could tell they were on your side and like wanted you to do really well.
Yeah.
And it was, they'd set such a good energy in the room.
Yeah.
I feel like it was impossible to go in and be having a bad time.
Yeah.
There was just such good energy.
I know. I feel like I'm like welling up with it, like actually reliving it, like, and that was so lovely. Like, and I feel like I definitely do my best when I'm made to feel comfortable like that. Because we have talked about our awkward auditions, and sometimes we feel like, oh, but it was the opposite of that. For Derry
that
Girls.
was like
even if I hadn't have
auditions.
got the part, I think I would have walked away going, wow, what a class audition experience.
Yeah. Wanting to stay in the audition room and keep doing the scenes is like the biggest takeaway you could ever have. We did an audition last week. Leah was reading for me and we like got the takes, but I like didn't want to stop. Because I was like, oh no, I'm like having so much fun. Like I want to do the scenes again. I just had so much fun with that. So
that was so good.
Yeah, it's really nice when you really enjoy it.
And then the other positive we've taken from this is like acting is subjective. And even if you have a negative experience, sometimes you still get the job.
Yeah.
And
very true.
Other times you learn from it.
I mean, especially like listening to us and all our terrible, awkward stories. It's sometimes there's, I don't know, it's gonna not go your way or be a little bit embarrassing, or it's not even, it doesn't need to be embarrassing.
Yeah.
That's a choice, I think, that you can make. You don't have to
I
be
look back
embarrassed.
now and I don't really have like negative feelings towards those auditions. Like I just look back and be like,
funny.
it is funny. And every like actor will have stories like this.
Don't be afraid of getting it wrong as well, I think.
Yeah, because sometimes your big bold statement that could be wrong could also be so right.
That's true, isn't it?
Yeah, I think character might do this, I'll go rogue. And then they could love it. Or they could be like, oh, don't go rogue.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, don't go rogue.
Obviously, remember you went rogue with when you were a child actor and you went to the corner.
Yeah.
They probably loved that. They're probably like, oh wow, she's going for it.
I got a call back. Be prepared for anything.
Yeah, the complete unexpected.
Anything. You are your unique
yeah.
selling point. Only you can be you. Yeah. Only you can read a scene the way you will read a scene. You're all going to be reading the same scene, yeah. but no one will read it exactly like
yeah.
you are.
Exactly. And like, yeah. you know yourself, your inner determination, and you're like, I'm going to be an actor, and like, so don't let outside influences come in on that.
Yeah.
Just like, no, I know, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I read, I texted it to you actually. I read a really nice, it was on Threads. One Broke Actress, if you follow her account, but she posted, how much more relaxed would you feel if you knew you were going to book a job next week? That's completely possible in the line of work that we're in. Mm-hmm. And I think existing within that relaxed energy is just so much nicer than being stressed, because you could be so stressed and then it all fixes itself tomorrow. I think we've spilled all the awkward audition tea everywhere. I mean, there's probably plenty that we just have forgotten about and swept under the rug. Thank you so much for joining us over our awkward audition chats. If there's any other things you would want us to talk about or discuss, you can let us know in the comments. If you have had your own very awkward auditions, we would also love to hear those.
We don't want to be alone in this.
Yeah. It's not just us, right?
Nearly
all my auditions are all fun. If you have, share them in the comments. Let's all share and be funny and vulnerable and authentic. I think it can be as light as you want it to be. It doesn't have to be very serious and heavy. So take that to your next audition and just have fun and be you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Bye.